Can you beat Best Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, with just soul arrows? What is up everybody, it's your boy Streamer Mind, back with another Dark Souls 2 challenge run. The rules for this one are the following. I must beat the game using only soul arrows to deal damage. However, I can only use the 30 soul arrows I get at the beginning of the game, so no buying extra copies for merchants, because I feel like that would be too easy. Fortunately, the game provides a few options to increase the number of casts I have at my disposal. I will also not be leveling up Vigor, so instead of being a glass cannon, I will be a glass BB gun. Before we begin, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm really getting close to my goal of 10,000 subscribers, and it would be amazing if you could help me reach this huge milestone. Alright, so without further ado, hold on to your catalysts, and let's start blasting our blue balls all over the place. But first I gotta scratch my ass. Oh, so much better. Now I can finally begin. We start out by giving our character an unusual but very theme appropriate name. I received a special butt plug from the old ladies in the shed, and I then spent hours in the character creator to create the perfect German stereotype. This is the final result. Mwah. Beautiful. I picked the bonfire aesthetic as my starting gift, completely ignored whatever this old piece of meat was saying to me, and I arrived in Majula. From here, I quickly ran to the Forest of the Fallen Giants. I picked up the shards from the crystal lizard on the floor above the bonfire, and with a well-placed firebomb, I opened up the skip. I obtained the large titanite shard in the room below the one with all the ballistas, and I got an amber herb in the chest behind the illusionary wall after getting trapped in the courtyard. I was ready now to fight our first boss, the last giant. I was honestly shocked at how much damage I was able to do. You know, I see yellow, my eyes glow up. The strategy was to just run from one side of the arena to the other and cast as many soul arrows as I could. He's a big target and he doesn't move really fast, so there was no risk of him dodging my attack. When he goes into phase 2 is also a really good opportunity to deal massive damage to his health bar. And with just 25 out of our 30 casts, the first boss went down. With the giant butthole down, I could now get Melentia to move to Majula, where she will sell infinite amounts of light gems as well as other really important items, such as the key that gives us access to the blacksmith. But I needed some more cash to upgrade my catalyst to +4, so I sent the Dragon Rider for a swim and I upgraded my stick. The Emerald Herald was now so impressed at the size of my thing that she allowed me to simp for her like any Dark Souls 2 enjoyer. I upgraded my intelligence and for some reason ADP, which in hindsight was kind of a waste, as I should have dumped those levels into attunement, which not only increases the power of spells and raises agility for frames and casting speed, it also increases your spell uses. Not by a lot, but still better than nothing. Next up, the Pursuer. This cutscene is so badass, by the way. After dying like an idiot the first time around, second try went much better. I would simply bait his dash attack, roll on the left side, wait for him to finish up his combo, and punish. The damage was decent, I would say, and keeping distance certainly makes this fight much easier. Almost every attack is punishable, but unfortunately I got caught by his stupid grab attack. He was probably one of the few bosses that caused me the most trouble in this run, and the problem was simply my low health and my greed. Finally, after more tries than I would care to admit, I was able to best the Pursuer and to fly off into the sunset, in the Lost Bastille, where I picked up the Ember and I returned to Majula to level up. And this time, I remembered to level up Attunement as well. Back in the Lost Bastille, I got my hands on the Silver Serpent Ring and a Fragrant Branch of Yore. Oh hello Pursuer, wait, haven't I just killed you? Never mind. Using the Exploding Barrel, I had access to the other blacksmith, which sells infinite large titanite shards. I brought some light into his life, and after burning the ascetic in Hyde's tower, I cheesed the Dragon Rider once again for some souls and upgraded my catalyst to +6. I used the rest of my souls to level up, and I killed the Pursuer to get some Twinkling Titanite, which will be important for later. I killed the Miracle Lady, which I never remembered the name of, above the Dragon Rider arena and arrived in Huntsman Copse, where I fought the Skeleton Lords. And there isn't much to say about this fight. I had to use some Rouge water to replenish my cast at a certain point, but apart from that, I just ran around the arena casting every time I would have the opportunity. And just like that, I was able to take them down on my first attempt. I then leveled up my attunement and went back to the Harvest Valley to pick up the Titanite chunk. I then got the Fragrant Branch of Yore in the Pirate of the Caribbean theme park, and I then spent 2 minutes of running around in deep water, killing the Flexile Sentry in the meantime. Okay, so far, so good. With the branch I just picked up, I freed Rosabeth and accessed the Shaded Ruins, and I paid a little visit to the Quilek knockoff, only that this time she is a scorpion lady and not a spider lady. Nashka is resistant to magic, so I had to use a couple of ember herbs in order to have enough soul arrows to beat her. Damage wasn't all that great, but fortunately I got her stuck on this branch and I was able to deal some massive damage. She did get away eventually, but all I had to do at this point was bait her tail attacks and punish, and just like that, the Scorpion Queen was also added to my victim list. I now had access to Brightstone Tseldora. I went back to Majula first to increase my intelligence, and after jumping into the well on my first try and had some pork for lunch, I killed the mimic on the other side of the tunnel and got my hands on the Staff of Wisdom, which is arguably the best staff in the game for sorceries. I reached 50 intelligence so I could actually use it, and the damage increase was very noticeable. With my newly found power, I returned to the Shaded Ruins to pick up another Twinkling Titanite. I bought an ascetic from Big Titty's clan, used it in the Shaded Ruins bonfire, and got 3 more Twinkling Titanites exactly where I just picked the other one up. I upgraded to +3, and I beat the best boss in the game. The Covetous Demon. Look at him. He's so pathetic. I love him. Right after beating Jabba, it was Mytha's turn. Damage was fine, considering she is resistant to magic damage. All I would do is just roll on the opposite side of her spear and cast as soon as I got out of the rolling animation to get as much time possible to recover and dodge again. Sometimes the hitboxes were kinda iffy, but it's Best Souls 2, so it is to be expected. She did try giving me some head at some point, but she had stinky caca breath, so I said no thank you and blasted her with my soul spears until she died. However, I did get greedy towards the end and I almost died because of it, but everything well what ends well, right? I psychologically wasn't ready for Iron Keep yet, so I returned to my waifu to level up, before continuing my journey through the Brightstone Tseldora area. And I was kinda worried about the Congregation, aka the second best boss of the game. Hey, don't hate the player, hate the game. Which a lot of you, I imagine, already do. The reason why I had some concerns for this boss is because there are a lot of enemies in the room and I have a limited number of casts and the damage wasn't really the best. Also, this boss heals itself and let's just say I had a rough first attempt.
Dude, what the fuck is this?
I figured the best thing to do was to attack the Magus first, as he has a pitiful amount of health, and once dead, the healers couldn't heal him. Then I would obviously concentrate on the other 2 assholes, dodging their lightning spears, making sure I would DPS them before they would heal the entire squad again. After that, I took out the rest of the goons with ease and I was free to go. It was definitely a boss. I then picked up the bonfire ascetic right above the congregation room before returning to the Shaded Ruins because I had an NG plus Nashka waiting for me. Half naked, half scorpion. And you know, I still would, I don't know about you. Fortunately, the tree strategy still worked, and since we had better gear, the damage was just about the same as in regular NG. But then, while I was trying to replenish my casts, I accidentally switched to the Homeward Bone and I got killed. So I figured it would have been faster to just kill Freya instead, which it was, using the good old strategy of running from one head to the other while using a torch, which makes the fight much easier because it keeps away the annoying baby spiders, which are arguably more of a boss than the boss itself. I always liked this boss for some reason, even though I cannot think of any reason why in particular. Maybe the design? Fortunately, I had enough casts to put this one in the bag and take it home. After getting some shit I was never going to find a use for, I traveled to the Lost Bastille, got the antiquated key, freed Olafis. He didn't miss the chance to insult me right after I saved his life. I can't wait to kill him later. Time to fight the Lost Sinner. The damage was really good. I was actually surprised I could do so much damage with the weakest sorcery in the game. Unfortunately, the lack of iframes made timing the dodges tricky to say the least. Also, I kinda forgot how far her sword could reach. I wish girls would say that to me. And I forgot to turn on the lights in the boss arena and this messed with the lock-on. But after a couple of failed attempts, I was able to defeat her. The jump attacks was the best opportunity to punish. The lack of iframes was still a problem and I solved it with the good old reliable dodge and hope for the best. On the realsies though, I just stayed mid-range, casting at the end of each combo, baiting the jump attack. Rewatching the footage for the fight, I still have no idea how I survived this, but I guess fortune favors the bold. And after a few minutes of frantically running around, I obtained the second Lord's Soul. 2 more to go. I returned to Nashka after some leveling up, and this time I was able to finish the job. I burnt another ascetic, took my 3 Twinkies, got my staff to +4, as in inches obviously. Even with the cat ring, I needed to use a human effigy in order to just barely survive the fall down the pit. And after picking up a twinkling titanite and some other goodies in the gutter, I said hello to the Rotten.
Hello!
He was a bit tankier than I thought, but fortunately his moves are easy to dodge and don't really pose much of a threat. His AoE attack is maybe the only move that gave me the shitters, but even with base vigor, I still tanked through it. And with 5 casts to spare, the Rotten went down on my first try. I couldn't delay the inevitable anymore, so I returned to Iron Keep, and my heart broke when I realized I would need 3 spells to just kill a single Alon Knight. Also, problems started right away, thanks to the 2 red phantoms invading before the castle. Weirdly enough, the problem wasn't Fencer Sharon, which is usually the most annoying of the 2. No, this time Dennis was the biggest pain in the ass, even after my colonoscopy. Since he can also cast sorceries, staying at range was still risky. Not to mention he has more powerful spells and is a faster caster, so I decided to cowardly run away to pick up the Twinkling Titanite in the iron chest in the following area. And then, these kind gentlemen invited me to have a relaxing bath into the burning lava. After many, and by many I mean many deaths, I finally sniped Dennis in the face and I was freed from his sorry bitch ass magic build chasing me around Bowser's castle. Then I got invaded by Forlorn, because of course I was. Did I think I was playing a fun game? No, I was playing Best Souls 2. Since I only had a limited number of casts, it meant I would have to run for my life in most situations. And this doesn't really translate well with Dark Souls 2, unfortunately. And there are so many enemies that it was starting to get on my nerves a bit. I even tried to go for Smelter Demon instead to get the bonfire, but that didn't turn out to go well.
Oh my god, it's not fucking possible, dude. Get the fuck.
I got pancaked right before the finish line. And finally, after the worst area in the game, I lit the bonfire. Old Iron King was just an old Iron King. Wait for him to do an attack and cast as many spells as you can. Hide behind the wall whenever he starts breathing fire. And bada beam bada bam, I got the 4th Lord Soul. I could now access the castle. And since there wasn't much here for me, let's just cut to the chase. The Dragon Riders were definitely a boss. I killed the fatty with the bow first and then just focused on the second one. This fight is pretty straightforward, honestly. Looking Glass Knight was pretty easy, actually. Again, the damage wasn't awesome per se, but it was definitely decent. Even when he spawned his goon, I just ignored it for the most part. I did get a second pair of underwear dirty for the second time in this run, but other than that, the Glass Boy was taken care of on my second try. Remember when I said that Iron Keep was the worst area of the game? I was about to be proven wrong once again by this forsaken game. Shrine of Amana. Enemies here are mega resistant to magic, especially the Archdrakes. Not only they take so many spells to kill, they are outright cheating the rules, as they run just as fast, both in high water or on normal ground, and their attacks come out so fast and do so much poise damage that once I got hit, I was practically dead. And then I mentioned that I had to fight multiple of these guys all at once. The good thing is that at least they drop Twinkling Titanites on occasion. So after some farming, I killed the Pursuer in the Land Betwixt and obtained the 5th and final Twinkie I would need to level up my staff to +5, as in inches obviously. Luckily for me, in the second area, you know, the worst one, I could summon Schmidt the Hunter or whatever and use him as a decoy to fight the 3 Archdrakes standing in front of the fog wall before the bonfire. You know the ones. After finally make it through, I lit the bonfire while I was crying tears of joy because the worst part has come to pass. Foreskin Frog was as easy as you would expect. I was still surprised the soul arrows were still holding up to this point. Anyways, he jumped, I cast, he died. And it was time to finally beat a real boss. So here's me no-hitting Bellstat to some groovy music. Guardian Dragon was another one of those unremarkable bosses. It was good that I could inflict damage even when he was up in the air doing I don't know what. His health pool is pitiful, so the fight didn't last very long. At this point, I was mainly leveling up intelligence to get as much damage as I could out of the soul arrows I had. And with about 50 attunement, I had 36 casts instead of the 30 you get at the beginning of the game. I then got the seeds from the ancient dragon, and I went off to fight the giant lord. Fortunately, this balcony is the perfect casting spot, as it allowed me to see what he was actually doing. And by standing on it, you just send him into a loop of doing the same attack over and over. Next up, we have the Godskin duo, or the worst version of them. This one was a hell of a fight. There wasn't much to it. If I healed at the wrong time, I was dead. The two really don't give you much room to breathe. It was a hit and run strategy through and through. Thankfully, the damage was decent, so the fight wouldn't drag on for too long. The smartest thing I could do, and you should do in this fight, was draining their health bars toe to toe. And after the sweatiest invasion Elden Ring could provide, the two bozos were finally defeated, meaning I only had Nashandra to take care of for the any % completion. Say what you want about the fight itself, but Nashandra does look metal as fuck. As I said, the fight is truly underwhelming, since Nashandra doesn't really have a solution to counter range builds. You can even lure her away from the cursing light bulbs that she summons. 2 out of 10, presentation is cool, but they could have done more with her. But I didn't want to end this run on such a low note, so instead I traveled far deep into the Old Iron Crown DLC and made it to Fume Knight. And finally the damage had fallen off. However, there was a way I could still improve my damage somehow. So I bought the ring that raises intelligence from Olafis, I bought the magic stone from Big Titty's clan, and I reinforced the Staff of Wisdom with the magic infusion. I burned an ascetic in Black Gulch and killed the Ryan again, raised my intelligence to 99. Yeah, I know, the ring I bought from Olafis was useless and a waste of souls. And now, let's see that damage. It wasn't a huge improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. You know, I see yellow damage and my eyes glow up. Alright guys, this is the end for today, but before saying goodbye, I had one thing left to do. Ah, sweet, sweet revenge. Who's the feeble curse now? Okay guys, thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a like if you did, comment down below what run I should do next, and please subscribe so I can reach these damn 10,000 subs. Alright guys, this is all I've got for today. I will see you in the next one.